Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome back to the philosophy of fasting. Doctor, before the break we were discussing, the virtues and values of, the night prayer, and you left out at a crucial point by saying sincerity.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. As Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah ta'ala said about Qiyam al-Layl, he said it is a school that teaches people everything, Qiyam al-Layl. And that's why Allah Jalla wa ala commanded the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to observe Qiyam al-Layl. And when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was observing Qiyam al-Layl, even after Qiyam al-Layl was made obligatory upon him and the companions, it was made voluntarily upon him and the companions, the Prophet ﷺ continued to make Qiyam al-Layl. And then Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, Ya Rasulullah, you are observing Qiyam al-Layl until your feet swallow.
Right, yes.
And you are still doing Qiyam al-Layl. So the Prophet ﷺ said, أَفَلَا أَكُونُ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. Don't you want me to be a thankful servant or slave to Allah Jalla wa ala? And she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to observe Qiyamul Layl. And she, one time, Masruq, one of the companions of Aisha and servants of Aisha, and one of the righteous tabi'een from the second generation, he said, "Oh, al-Mu'mineen, tell me about the most amazing thing you noticed with the Prophet ﷺ." She said, all of his life was amazing. But she pinpointed on Qiyamul Layl. And she said, one time he wanted to go to bed. So he went next to me in the bed. Then all of a sudden he said, "Da'ini ata'abbadu li Rabbi." Let me stand in prayer for my Lord. And then she said, he went, he made wudu, he started to pray and to pray until he started to cry, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the tears were coming on his cheeks, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is who? This is the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whom Allah forgiven all his previous sins and all his sins. And Allah Jalla wa ala gave him Maqam al-Mahmud. Allah Jalla wa ala gave him the highest grade and place in Jannah. And the Prophet ﷺ used to do this because he wants to be thankful to Allah Jalla wa ala. This is Qiyamul Layl, and this is the value of Qiyamul Layl. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, it is the honor of the Muslim to observe Qiyamul Layl. And see, as Sayyid Qutb said, that Qiyamul Layl is a school full of lessons. One of those lessons is to learn, as you said, sincerity. Why? Because if no one is awake, no one is watching you, and it is calm, and then you wake up, no one knows about you, and you pray to Allah Jalla wa ala. Eventually, you do not do this unless you have what? You want to do things purely for Allah, and people will not see this.
Of course.
So it teaches you sincerity.
SubhanAllah.
To do things for Allah Jalla wa ala.
Definitely.
And see, sincerity is a matter of training. You need to train yourself to become more sincere by doing more actions to Allah Jalla wa ala, purely for Allah Jalla wa ala. And we don't want to start discussing about sincerity, otherwise,
of course,
otherwise it will take long time. But in Qiyamul Layl in particular teaches the person to do things sincerely, because as we said,
of course,
the person will do them away from the people. Bishr ibn al-Harith, one of the scholars of the early generation, one of the righteous people, he has so many amazing statements. He used to say, hide your bad deeds as you hide your good deeds.
True.
Why? Because once you hide your good deeds, you will learn what? You will learn sincerity. And that's why some scholars define sincerity as what? To hate to that people see your good deeds.
Of course.
To hate it. And what does that mean? It means that if you enjoy people seeing your deeds, this shows or demonstrates lack of sincerity.
Of course.
Imam Ahmad once, sorry if I may.
Go ahead.
Because whenever we talk about sincerity, we swim with sincerity.
Yes, exactly.
And this is suitable for the subject of philosophy of fasting. Imam Ahmad once was sitting and he was sad. His uncle visited him and he saw him sad. He said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "I wish if I was not known. I wish if I was not known." And there are so many statements from scholars here and there about the importance of sincerity. The point is, Qiyamul Layl teaches the person how to be sincere, devoted to Allah Jalla wa Ala, doing things that no one knows. And that's why I advise my brothers and sisters to make at least a few moments where they pray Qiyamul Layl by themselves. No one knows about them. No one knows about them at all. I'm so sorry, but I remembered one important point. You know, many people say that we cannot wake up at night.
Yes.
And a sister told me something very strange. And you know, the Muslims who were living in Russia under the Caesar's power,
yes,
they were not allowed to pray.
Subhanallah.
And whenever they have any kind of alarm to wake them up for Fajr, the police will know about them and they will persecute them.
Right.
So what they used to do, they used to drink a lot of water. In order to what? In order to be forced to go to toilet.
Yes.
At a certain time. And after some time they developed a technology. Okay, you can say
yes,
that if you drink this amount of water at this time, you will be able to wake at this time. So they don't miss Fajr. And they don't need to put any kind of alarms or something like this in order to wake up for Fajr. And they used to do this, okay, at that time and after that time as well. So she said that if a person wants to do Qiyamul Layl, we had a conference or a seminar, and the sisters were asking, how can we wake up at night, etc. So the sister was recommending this. She said, if the person is keen to make Qiyamul Layl, wallahi, he could have done this. Or he can do this, to drink a lot of water, plenty of water at a certain period of time in order to, before going to bed,
yes,
in order to wake up at night, in order to make Qiyamul Layl.
Of course.
This is if we are keen to make Qiyamul Layl. And once the person wakes up at night and goes to the toilet, of course, this gives him some nashat, some power. And then he will be able to pray at night.
Of course.
And as I said before, Brother Rafi, our ummah will not be a victorious ummah unless we observe Qiyamul Layl.
Yes. Dr. Hatham, you know, I totally agree with you on what you're saying. However, I just want to pick up on one point, because through this night prayer, my own personal experience praying this prayer, it enlightens you and it gives you that extra time to be sincere to Allah. So
definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. See, Heraclius, when he was fighting the Prophet ﷺ and Muslims, he said to them, he said to his people one time, listen, what's wrong with you? Those Muslims are defeating you all of the time. What's wrong? Aren't they men like you are men? They eat what you eat. What's wrong with you? Why do they defeat you every time? So they said, one of the elderly people, he said to him, they are different from us. This elderly person, he said to Heraclius and his people, they are different from us. The first thing he mentioned, they make qiyamu fal-layl. They fast on the daytime. they fulfill the wa'd, the promises. They don't break the promises. They don't lie. They look after the poor people. Then he said, because of this, and he also mentioned that they enjoin the good and forbid the evil, and they establish justice among themselves.
Subhanallah.
Because of these elements, despite that they are less in number, they always defeat us.
MashaAllah.
So, as it was said before, that we do not defeat our enemies by our power, we defeat our enemies by the power of Allah Jalla wa Ala. How can we get to the power of Allah Jalla wa Ala if we are not close to Allah Jalla wa Ala?
Exactly. Thank you so much for that, Doctor. I do appreciate it. That's all we have time for right now on this episode. I just want to remind the viewers at home, if you want to discover anything about what we're discussing, you can definitely check it out on the website at www.islam21c.com. Until next time, I leave you in the safe care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, O Ramadan. You are honored, O month of the Quran. It is Ramadan. Welcome, O Ramadan.